Imagine waking up one day and realizing that the greatest love you've been searching for has been waiting inside you all along. Too many people spend years begging for attention, chasing approval, and sacrificing their peace just to be accepted by those who were never meant to stay. But today, that cycle ends. Today is the day you reclaim your value, silence the voice of self-doubt, and remember that your worth has never depended on someone's opinion, affection, or validation. The moment you truly learn to love yourself, you stop settling for crumbs when you were created for abundance. You stop running after people who overlook you because you finally recognize that the right people never require you to prove your value. This message is not about arrogance or isolation. It is about discovering the unshakable confidence that comes from knowing who you are. It is about standing tall after heartbreak, smiling after rejection, and choosing your peace over temporary approval. If you've ever felt ignored, abandoned, or unappreciated, stay with me until the very end, because what you're about to hear has the power to transform the way you see yourself forever. Your healing begins today, your confidence rises today, and from this moment forward, you will never beg for love again. You will become the kind of person whose presence commands respect, whose heart overflows with self-worth, and whose life reflects the extraordinary power of loving yourself first. Self-love is not a reward you earn after you become successful, attractive, wealthy, or admired. It is the foundation upon which every meaningful achievement and healthy relationship is built. Too often, people spend years believing that if they can just impress the right person, gain enough followers, receive enough compliments, or accomplish enough goals, they will finally feel complete. Yet the truth is that no amount of external validation can fill an internal void. If you do not appreciate your own value, you will constantly depend on others to remind you that you matter. The tragedy is that people are imperfect. They forget, they disappoint, they leave. And if your confidence depends entirely on their approval, your peace disappears the moment they do. That is why genuine self-love is not a luxury, it is a necessity. When you truly love yourself, you begin to see life through a completely different lens. You stop asking, "Why doesn't everyone appreciate me?" and start asking, "Am I appreciating myself?" That simple shift changes everything. Instead of chasing acceptance, you cultivate confidence. Instead of comparing yourself with others, you celebrate your own journey. Instead of focusing on what you lack, you recognize the countless strengths, talents, and qualities that already exist within you. Self-love allows you to become your own source of encouragement rather than depending on applause from the outside world. Many people mistake self-love for arrogance, but they are nothing alike. Arrogance believes it is better than everyone else. Self-love simply believes it is enough. Arrogance seeks superiority, while self-love embraces authenticity. A person who genuinely loves themselves does not need to compete because they understand that every individual has a unique purpose. They are not threatened by another person's success because they know someone else's light does not diminish their own. Instead of living in comparison, they live with gratitude. One of the greatest signs that someone struggles with self-love is the constant need for validation. They overthink every conversation, fear rejection, and feel devastated when someone fails to respond with the attention they expected. Their happiness becomes controlled by circumstances outside their control. But when you develop genuine self-respect, your emotional stability no longer depends on another person's behavior. Compliments become appreciated, but not required. Criticism becomes a lesson instead of a life sentence. Rejection becomes redirection instead of destruction. Self-love also transforms the relationships you build. When you know your worth, you stop accepting treatment that contradicts it. You no longer tolerate disrespect simply because you fear being alone. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces where you were never valued. You stop pretending to be someone you're not just to keep people interested. Instead, you begin attracting relationships built on honesty, respect, and mutual appreciation. Healthy relationships are never sustained by desperation. They are sustained by two whole people choosing one another freely. There is incredible freedom in realizing that your value is not determined by someone's ability to recognize it. Imagine a priceless diamond lying unnoticed in the dirt. Its value has not changed simply because someone walked past without seeing it. In the same way, your worth does not increase when people praise you, nor does it decrease when they ignore you. Your value remains constant. The challenge is not convincing others to see it, it is believing it yourself. Learning to love yourself also requires forgiveness. Many people carry years of regret, replaying old mistakes and allowing past failures to define their identity. But growth begins when you understand that your mistakes are chapters in your story, not the title of your life. Every setback has taught you resilience. Every disappointment has strengthened your character. Every difficult season has prepared you for greater wisdom. Self-love means giving yourself permission to grow without constantly punishing yourself for who you used to be. Another powerful aspect of self-love is taking responsibility for your own happiness. It is easy to believe that someone else will complete you or rescue you from loneliness, but lasting fulfillment begins within. When you invest in your health, your faith, your education, your purpose, and your personal growth, you create a life that feels meaningful regardless of who is standing beside you. Ironically, the people who attract the healthiest relationships are often those who have already learned how to enjoy their own company. Remember this truth: you teach people how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. If you constantly criticize yourself, ignore your needs, and accept less than you deserve, others may follow that example. But when you honor your own boundaries, speak kindly to yourself, and refuse to compromise your dignity, you communicate a powerful message without saying a word. You demonstrate that your peace is valuable, your time is precious, and your heart deserves respect. So begin today. Look at yourself with compassion instead of criticism. Celebrate progress instead of demanding perfection. Speak words of encouragement instead of self-condemnation. Believe that you are worthy of love, respect, and kindness, not because of what you have achieved, but because of who you are. The strongest relationships, the greatest opportunities, and the deepest inner peace all grow from one unshakable truth. When you truly love yourself, you stop searching for someone else to tell you that you matter, because you already know it. And once you know your worth, you will never again settle for anything that asks you to forget it. One of the most painful habits a person can develop is begging for love that should have been given freely. Love was never designed to be something you have to earn by sacrificing your dignity, your peace, or your identity. Genuine love does not require endless pleading, constant proving, or exhausting yourself just to receive the smallest amount of attention. The moment you find yourself chasing someone who repeatedly ignores your worth, it is time to pause and ask yourself a life-changing question. Why am I fighting so hard to keep someone who is not fighting to keep me? The answer often has very little to do with the other person and everything to do with how you see yourself. Many people confuse love with attachment. Attachment says, "I need you to survive." Love says, "I appreciate you, but I also know who I am without you." When your happiness depends entirely on another person's approval, you begin making decisions from fear instead of wisdom. You tolerate disrespect because you fear loneliness. You remain silent when your heart is hurting because you fear rejection. You lower your standards because you fear starting over. Slowly, without realizing it, you begin trading your self-respect for temporary attention. But attention is not love, and fear is never the foundation of a healthy relationship. Knowing your true value changes everything. It reminds you that your worth is not determined by how many people choose you, text you, compliment you, or stay with you. Your value is not measured by someone else's ability to recognize it. A priceless work of art remains priceless even if someone walks past it without noticing its beauty. Likewise, your worth remains unchanged even when others fail to appreciate you. The problem is not always that you lack value. Sometimes people simply lack the vision to see it. Think about how often people apologize for simply being themselves. They apologize for expressing their feelings, for asking to be treated with respect, or for expecting honesty in a relationship. But there is nothing wrong with expecting the basic things that every healthy relationship should provide. Respect is not too much to ask. Loyalty is not too much to ask. Kindness is not too much to ask. If someone consistently makes you feel like your needs are a burden, they may not be the right person to carry your heart. Another reason people beg for love is because they believe they cannot find it anywhere else. This mindset creates emotional scarcity. It convinces you that if this relationship ends, no one else will ever care about you again. But that belief is built on fear, not truth. The world is filled with opportunities to build meaningful relationships, friendships, and connections. Holding on to someone who repeatedly hurts you does not protect your future. It delays it. True confidence begins when you stop asking, "How can I make them love me?" and start asking, "Am I loving and respecting myself?" That question shifts your focus from changing others to strengthening yourself. You cannot control another person's feelings, but you can control how you respond to them. You can choose to walk away from situations that drain your spirit. You can choose to invest your energy in people who genuinely appreciate your presence. Most importantly, you can choose to stop measuring your value by someone else's opinion. Learning your value also means refusing to compete for a place in someone's life. Real love does not place you in a constant competition for attention. If someone truly values you, they will make room for you. They will communicate with honesty, treat you with respect, and make consistent efforts to maintain the relationship. Healthy love is built on mutual commitment, not endless pursuit by one person while the other remains emotionally unavailable. There comes a moment in every person's journey when they must choose between holding on to someone else and holding on to themselves. That decision is rarely easy. Walking away from familiar pain can feel more frightening than staying in it. Yet growth often begins the moment you stop accepting what continuously breaks your heart. Sometimes, the greatest act of self-love is quietly walking away, not out of anger or revenge, but because you finally understand that your peace is worth protecting. Remember that rejection is not always a sign that something is wrong with you. Often it is simply life's way of redirecting you toward people, places, and opportunities that align with your true purpose. Every closed door creates space for a better one to open. Every goodbye prepares you for a healthier hello. Every lesson shapes you into someone wiser, stronger, and more emotionally mature. From this day forward, make a promise to yourself. Never beg for conversations that should happen naturally. Never beg for loyalty that should be given willingly. Never beg for respect that should be automatic. Never beg for love that should be freely offered. Stand confidently in your worth, knowing that the right people will never require you to convince them of your value. Your heart is precious. Your time is valuable. Your peace is priceless. Protect them with wisdom. When you truly know your value, you stop chasing people who cannot see it. Instead, you become the kind of person who walks with quiet confidence, unwavering self-respect, and unshakable peace. And that is the moment your life begins to change. Not because the world suddenly becomes kinder, but because you finally realize you are too valuable to settle for anything less than genuine love and sincere respect. Not every battle in life is visible. Some of the deepest struggles are hidden beneath a smile, carried quietly in the heart, and buried beneath years of disappointment, rejection, betrayal, and broken trust. Many people wonder why they continue to attract unhealthy relationships, or why they keep accepting less than they deserve. The answer is often found not in the present, but in the wounds of the past. Until those wounds are healed, they quietly influence your decisions, shape your expectations, and determine what you believe you are worthy of receiving. Healing is not about pretending the pain never happened. It is about refusing to let yesterday's hurt control tomorrow's future. Pain has a way of changing the way we see ourselves. A child who constantly hears criticism may grow into an adult who never feels good enough. Someone who has been abandoned may begin believing that everyone will eventually leave. A person who has experienced betrayal may struggle to trust even those who genuinely care. These beliefs are rarely spoken aloud, yet they become the invisible script that guides everyday choices. Without realizing it, people begin accepting treatment that reflects their hidden fears rather than their true value. One of the greatest mistakes people make is confusing familiar pain with genuine love. If chaos, inconsistency, or emotional neglect have been part of your life for years, they can begin to feel normal. You may find yourself drawn to relationships that repeat the same unhealthy patterns simply because they are familiar. But familiarity is not the same as health. Just because something feels normal does not mean it is good for your heart. Healing begins the moment you recognize the difference. The first step toward emotional healing is honesty. It takes courage to admit that certain experiences have left scars. Many people spend years pretending they are fine while carrying unresolved grief, disappointment, resentment, or shame. Yet what you refuse to confront will continue to control you. Healing begins when you stop hiding from your pain and start acknowledging it. There is strength in admitting that you have been hurt, because honesty opens the door to restoration. Forgiveness is another powerful part of healing, but forgiveness is often misunderstood. Forgiveness does not mean pretending the offense never happened. It does not mean excusing harmful behavior or allowing someone to continue hurting you. Forgiveness means releasing the burden of bitterness so it no longer has power over your life. Holding on to resentment is like carrying a heavy weight every day, hoping someone else becomes tired. In reality, the weight only slows your own journey. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself because it frees your heart to move forward. Healing also requires learning to forgive yourself. Many people remain trapped because they constantly replay past mistakes. They think about the opportunities they missed, the wrong people they trusted, or the decisions they wish they could change. But no one grows without making mistakes. Every failure contains a lesson, every disappointment carries wisdom, and every setback can become preparation for something greater. Your past may explain where you have been, but it does not have the authority to define where you are going. As healing begins, your standards begin to change. You stop confusing attention with affection and manipulation with love. You no longer feel obligated to remain in relationships where your kindness is taken for granted or your voice is ignored. Instead, you begin recognizing the qualities that truly matter: honesty, consistency, respect, kindness, and mutual effort. You realize that love should bring peace more often than confusion, and security more often than anxiety. Healing also changes the relationship you have with yourself. Instead of speaking harshly to yourself, you begin offering yourself grace. Instead of focusing on every flaw, you begin appreciating your growth. You stop comparing your journey to someone else's, because you understand that every person's path is unique. Confidence grows not because you become perfect, but because you finally accept yourself as someone worthy of love and respect. One of the most beautiful signs of healing is that you stop chasing people who cannot value you. You no longer feel the need to convince others to stay or to prove that you deserve their love. Instead, you understand that healthy relationships are built on mutual appreciation. You become comfortable walking away from situations that rob you of your peace, because you know protecting your heart is not selfish, it is wise. Healing is rarely instant. It is a journey made up of small, consistent choices. Some days you will feel strong, while other days old memories may try to pull you backward. That does not mean you are failing. Progress is not measured by never struggling again. It is measured by refusing to remain where the pain once held you captive. Every step forward, no matter how small, is evidence that your heart is becoming stronger. Surrounding yourself with encouraging people is another important part of healing. Positive friendships, wise mentors, supportive family members, and faith-filled communities can remind you of your value when you temporarily forget it. The voices you listen to shape the beliefs you carry. Choose people who inspire growth rather than insecurity, hope rather than fear, and truth rather than manipulation. Never forget this powerful truth. Your wounds are part of your story, but they are not your identity. You are more than the rejection you experienced. You are more than the betrayal you endured. You are more than the mistakes you regret. Those experiences may have shaped you, but they do not define you. Every scar is proof that you survived something difficult, and every lesson you have learned has prepared you for a stronger future. Today, make the decision to stop settling for less than you deserve. Release the pain that has convinced you to accept unhealthy relationships, constant disappointment, or a life of emotional exhaustion. Choose healing over bitterness, peace over chaos, and self-respect over approval. When your heart begins to heal, your vision becomes clearer, your confidence becomes stronger, and your standards become healthier. Most importantly, you discover that the love you are searching for begins with the way you choose to value yourself. A healed heart no longer begs to be chosen. It walks forward with quiet confidence, knowing it is already enough. One of the greatest acts of self-love is learning to set healthy boundaries. Many people believe that being kind means saying yes to everyone, always being available, always sacrificing their own needs, and never disappointing anyone. But kindness without boundaries often becomes self-neglect. You cannot continuously pour into others while ignoring your own emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. A healthy life is not built on constantly pleasing people. It is built on respecting yourself enough to protect your peace. Boundaries are not walls that keep love out. They are doors that allow the right people in while keeping unhealthy behavior from taking control of your life. When you fail to establish boundaries, you unintentionally teach people how to treat you. If you constantly accept disrespect without speaking up, some people will assume it is acceptable. If you repeatedly allow your kindness to be taken advantage of, others may continue expecting more while giving less. This does not mean everyone has bad intentions, but it does mean that people often respond to the standards you set. Your boundaries communicate your value without requiring long explanations. They quietly declare, "This is how I deserve to be treated." Many people struggle with boundaries because they fear rejection. They worry that if they say no, people will leave. They fear that if they stop overextending themselves, they will no longer be loved or accepted. But consider this truth. Anyone who only values you because you never say no is not appreciating you. They are benefiting from your lack of boundaries. Genuine love does not disappear because you protect your well-being. Healthy relationships grow stronger through honesty, respect, and mutual understanding. One of the most powerful words you can learn is no. It is a simple word, yet it has the power to protect your time, your energy, and your emotional health. Saying no does not make you selfish. It means you understand that your resources are limited, and that every yes to something unnecessary is often a no to something that truly matters. Every time you say yes out of guilt instead of conviction, you slowly drain yourself. Every unnecessary commitment steals time that could have been invested in your purpose, your family, your health, or your personal growth. Boundaries are also essential in relationships. Love should never require you to lose your identity. You should never feel pressured to compromise your values, silence your voice, or ignore your instincts simply to keep someone happy. A healthy relationship allows both people to express themselves honestly while respecting one another's individuality. If someone consistently ignores your feelings, dismisses your concerns, or manipulates your emotions, the problem is not that your boundaries are too strong. It may be that they have become uncomfortable because they can no longer control you. Learning to protect your peace also means recognizing when it is time to walk away. Not every relationship is meant to last forever. Some people enter your life to teach lessons rather than remain permanently. Holding on to toxic relationships simply because of shared history often prevents you from experiencing the healthy future waiting ahead. Walking away is never easy, especially when emotions are involved. But staying in an environment that constantly damages your spirit is even more costly. Sometimes the bravest decision you can make is choosing your peace over familiarity. There will always be people who misunderstand your boundaries. Some may call you distant because you no longer tolerate disrespect. Others may accuse you of changing because you refuse to carry burdens that do not belong to you. Do not let those opinions discourage you. Growth often looks like distance to people who benefited from your lack of boundaries. The healthier you become, the more your priorities will change. That is not selfishness, it is maturity. Protecting your peace also requires guarding your mind. Every conversation does not deserve your attention. Every argument does not deserve your response. Every criticism does not deserve your emotional energy. Wise people learn the difference between issues worth addressing and distractions designed to steal their focus. Your peace is too valuable to surrender over every negative opinion or unnecessary conflict. Sometimes silence is more powerful than the perfect response. Another important boundary involves the way you speak to yourself. Many people allow their inner voice to become their harshest critic. They replay failures, magnify weaknesses, and ignore every success. Yet self-respect begins with self-compassion. Speak to yourself the way you would encourage someone you deeply love. Celebrate your progress. Acknowledge your efforts. Learn from your mistakes without allowing them to define your identity. The words you repeatedly tell yourself shape the confidence you carry into the world. Healthy boundaries create healthier relationships. They attract people who respect honesty, appreciate consistency, and value mutual effort. They also reveal relationships that were built on convenience. While that discovery can be painful, it is also freeing. It allows you to invest your heart where it will be genuinely appreciated, instead of endlessly exhausted. Never apologize for protecting your peace. Never feel guilty for choosing environments that strengthen your mind, your heart, and your spirit. Your emotional health matters. Your dignity matters. Your purpose matters. You were never created to live under constant pressure to please everyone around you. You were created to live with confidence, wisdom, and peace. So beginning today, make a commitment to honor your own value. Say no without guilt when necessary. Walk away from repeated disrespect. Protect your time as carefully as you protect your dreams. Surround yourself with people who encourage your growth instead of draining your strength. Most importantly, remember that boundaries are not signs of weakness. They are evidence of self-respect. When you value yourself enough to establish healthy limits, you create space for genuine love, authentic friendships, meaningful opportunities, and lasting inner peace. The people who truly belong in your life will never resent the boundaries that protect the person they claim to care about. Instead, they will honor them, because real love always respects dignity, and true respect always protects peace. There comes a defining moment in every person's life when they realize that chasing love, approval, and validation is an exhausting race with no lasting finish line. The more desperately you pursue people who do not value you, the further you drift away from your own peace. But everything changes when you stop asking, "How can I make someone choose me?" and begin asking, "How can I become the best version of myself?" That single shift transforms your entire life. Instead of spending your energy chasing affection, you begin building a life so full of purpose, confidence, and joy that healthy relationships naturally become part of your journey. The truth is simple. People are often drawn to confidence, authenticity, and inner peace. Confidence is not loud, arrogant, or boastful. Real confidence is quiet. It comes from knowing who you are without constantly needing someone else to remind you. It is the ability to walk into a room without trying to impress everyone. It is the strength to remain true to your values, even when others disagree. It is the courage to stand alone, rather than settling for relationships that require you to abandon your dignity. Many people spend years trying to become what others want, instead of discovering who they were created to be. They change their personality, hide their opinions, ignore their dreams, and silence their voice because they fear rejection. Yet, pretending to be someone else may attract attention, but it will never bring lasting fulfillment. The people who truly belong in your life will appreciate the real you, not the version you created to gain acceptance. Authenticity is far more attractive than perfection, because authenticity builds trust, while perfection is impossible to maintain. Becoming someone who attracts healthy relationships begins with investing in yourself. Develop your mind by continuing to learn. Strengthen your body by taking care of your health. Nurture your spirit through faith, reflection, gratitude, and purpose. Build your character through honesty, discipline, patience, and kindness. Every day you spend growing into a wiser and stronger person increases the quality of the life you live. Growth is never wasted. Even when no one else notices your progress, you are becoming someone capable of handling greater opportunities and healthier relationships. Purpose is another powerful magnet. People who live with purpose are not constantly searching for someone to complete them because they are already committed to something meaningful. They wake up with goals. They have dreams to pursue, talents to develop, and lives to improve. This does not mean they never desire companionship. It simply means they refuse to make another person the center of their identity. A relationship should complement your purpose, not replace it. One of the greatest signs of emotional maturity is learning to enjoy your own company. Solitude should not feel like punishment. It should become a place of growth. Spend time discovering your passions, reflecting on your experiences, reading, learning new skills, serving others, and building a life that genuinely excites you. When you become comfortable being alone, you stop accepting unhealthy relationships simply because you fear loneliness. Loneliness may be uncomfortable for a season, but losing yourself in the wrong relationship is far more painful. As your confidence grows, your standards naturally rise. You stop chasing people who give inconsistent effort because you recognize that consistency is a form of respect. You stop making excuses for repeated dishonesty because you understand that trust is essential. You no longer confuse mixed signals with mystery or emotional distance with independence. Instead, you seek relationships where communication is clear, respect is mutual, and effort flows from both sides. Healthy love should bring stability, not constant uncertainty. Patience also becomes an important part of your journey. In a world that encourages instant gratification, many people rush into relationships simply because they fear missing out. But meaningful connections are worth waiting for. It is better to spend time becoming the right person than rushing to find the right person while neglecting your own growth. The strongest relationships are often built by two individuals who first learn to stand confidently on their own. Another key to attracting love is maintaining a positive attitude toward life. Carrying bitterness from past disappointments into every new relationship only creates unnecessary barriers. Every person you meet is not responsible for the mistakes someone else made. Healing allows you to approach the future with wisdom instead of fear. Learn from your past, but do not allow it to steal your hope. Optimism, gratitude, and emotional resilience create an environment where healthy relationships can flourish. Remember that your value has never been dependent on your relationship status. Whether you are single or committed, your worth remains the same. Too many people postpone happiness until they find someone else to love them. But true happiness begins when you appreciate the life you have today. A grateful heart shines differently. It radiates peace, confidence, and contentment, qualities that naturally attract people who appreciate authenticity rather than desperation. Surround yourself with people who encourage your growth. Healthy friendships and supportive communities remind you of your value, celebrate your victories, and challenge you to become even better. The environment you choose shapes your mindset. Stay close to those who inspire integrity, kindness, and purpose. Distance yourself from constant negativity, manipulation, and emotional exhaustion. Protecting your environment is part of protecting your future. Most importantly, never lose sight of who you are. You are not defined by rejection, heartbreak, or someone else's inability to recognize your worth. You are defined by your character, your resilience, your purpose, and your ability to continue growing despite life's challenges. Every experience has prepared you to become wiser, stronger, and more compassionate. So make this your commitment from today forward. Stop chasing people who repeatedly overlook your value. Instead, chase growth, chase wisdom, chase purpose, chase peace, chase the life you were created to live. As you become the healthiest version of yourself, you will naturally attract healthier opportunities, stronger friendships, and more meaningful relationships. You will no longer need to beg for love because your confidence will speak louder than your words. Your life will become a reflection of self-respect, inner strength, and genuine joy. And when love finally arrives, it will not feel like something you fought to keep. It will feel like something that naturally belongs, because you first learned the greatest lesson of all. The strongest love story always begins with loving yourself.